So if you're a home bartender like myself and you're interested in making shaken cocktails, but you don't necessarily have the tools like the shaker, the jigger, and the strainer that you see here, but you still want to make high quality shaken cocktails, then this is the correct video for you. My name is Ron Verpin. I'm a full-time medical doctor and I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now. During that time, I've learned how to make over 100 different cocktails and I've thrown over 50 cocktail parties. And I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. And in this video, I'm gonna be showing you all how to make a shaken cocktail without any specific bartending tools, namely the shaker, the jigger, and the strainer that I have here. And I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make a shaken cocktail using just simple household items that almost everyone has in their own kitchen and or pantry. So why would you not necessarily have the shaker, the jigger, and the other tools that I have here? Well, it's really gonna be if you fall into one of two different camps. The first is essentially the same camp that I fell into when I was first starting this home bartending journey. I was interested in home bartending and I wanted to start making cocktails, but I didn't necessarily want to invest in the shaker and the other tools before I realized that I liked making cocktails and I enjoyed the hobby. And I'm sure that resonates with a lot of you all that are in this very early stage of your home bartending journey. Maybe you're just in the first few weeks, few months even, maybe just like 2-3 months into your journey, and you haven't necessarily invested in this. You really want to see if you like home bartending. You want to see if you're good at making cocktails before you go ahead and purchase the equipment. So that's going to be the first camp. And the second camp is something that, I'm a little too crazy about home bartending, so I can't really relate to the second camp. But the second camp would be if you're going over to a friend or family member's house, or let's say you're traveling or something like that, and you don't bring all this equipment with you, but you go over to somebody's place, they know you're into home bartending, they ask you to make drinks. Maybe you go for happy hour straight after work to your friend's house, you don't have time to grab all this stuff. The reason I say I don't relate to this is because I'm the kind of, I'm so obsessed and crazy about home bartending that I actually bring this stuff a lot of times when I do travel. I put it in my backpack or my carry-on. I carry on the shaker and the jigger and the stirring spoon and some of these other tools as well. Because I know that when I travel, when I go over to other people's houses, friends and family, for example, they'll ask me to make drinks. They'll ask me to be a guest bartender at their party, things like that. And that's true whether it's in town or out of town as well. So, I'm that kind of person that likes to do all that. But I understand not everyone's as crazy about home bartending. I hope you all get there one day. And that's really one of the purposes of this channel, to really inspire you all to get into home bartending. So let's say you fall into one of those camps. You're either a beginner home bartender, you haven't yet purchased the tools, or you're traveling either whether it's in town or out of town and you didn't bring your equipment with you. So you're going over to somebody's place, or you're just in your own kitchen and you want to make shaken cocktails, but you don't have all these tools. Well, you could still use household items that pretty much everybody has in their kitchen or pantry. I'm gonna be showing you the main substitutions in this video and also demonstrating a sample shaken cocktail just to show you guys how to make that. So the first thing that I have here, this is a Tupperware. This one is actually made of Pyrex, but there are other options too. You can also go with plastic. And this one is circular, but you can also go with square, rectangular. It can be big, it can be small. It really doesn't matter. As long as you can get a good seal with the lid, then this can serve as a shaker because it's a container. You pour all the ingredients and the ice in there, and then you can shake it the same way you do with the standard shaker that I have here. A few other good options. I would say the best option actually is the mason jar. The reason I'm not using a mason jar in this video is because I personally don't have one. And I know a lot of people don't have a mason jar, whereas something like a Tupperware is essentially ubiquitous. Pretty much everybody has Tupperware in their kitchen or pantry. So that's why I'm going to be using that. The other great option to sub as a shaker is a water bottle. But it has to be one where the neck is not super narrow, because the neck's super narrow, you're not going to be able to safely pour all of your ingredients without spilling everywhere. And also you're not going to be able to put the ice in there to shake with too. So it has to be a water bottle with a more of a big neck so you can put everything inside too. So that's why I'm going with the Tupperware here. I feel like of the three options, that's the most ubiquitous and the one that everyone has, and it doesn't really have any of the constraints like the water bottle does too. The second thing you want to sub out is the jigger, which is going to be used to measure your ingredients. And the thing that you can use to do that is what I have here, a tablespoon, which essentially everybody has in their kitchen or pantry. And a tablespoon, while not as precise and good for measuring as a jigger, it is actually useful because 1 tablespoon is equal to ½ ounce. And most pours and measurements in home bartending and mixology in general come in multiples of ½ ounce. ½ ounce, 1 ounce, 1.5, 2 ounces. And you just do the quick math on that. 1 tablespoon, ½ ounce, 2 tablespoons, 1 ounce, 4 tablespoons, 2 ounces. That covers the majority of pours. Some recipes, like the Daiquri that I'm going to be making in this video, call for 3/4 ounce of simple syrup or 3/4 ounce of different ingredients. So for that, you're going to be using 1 full tablespoon, and then you're going to be using half of a tablespoon. And the half tablespoon, not the most precise, but it gets the job done if you're in a pinch like this where you don't have the tools available. So the tablespoon is going to sub out for your jigger. Finally, the other important tool for shaken cocktails is a strainer. And a strainer is mainly used to, as the name suggests, it strains out, you put it on the lid of the shaker, and it strains out the solid components of the shaken drink, which is mainly going to be ice, but also can be things like herbs and muddled fruits if you're making specific cocktails that require those kind of things. So it's used for that. The way I really get around that, mainly in home bartending, I don't use this too often in home bartending because when I make shaken drinks, I like to do this method called the shake and dump method. I actually do a separate video on this channel going more in depth on that method. Essentially what it means, you shake the cocktail and instead of straining at all, you just pour all the ingredients directly into the glass. That includes ice, that'll include the herbs, that'll include muddled fruits. Whatever's in the cocktail shaker will end up in the glass itself. So that's how you get around not having a strainer. So those are really the ways to get around these different tools. Now I'm going to be demonstrating that by making the sample cocktail. That's going to be the Daiquri, which is going to contain rum, lime juice, and simple syrup, and the exact measurements: 2 ounces of rum, 1 ounce lime juice, 3/4 ounce simple syrup. So let's get started making the cocktail. Like I said, it's going to call for 2 ounces of rum. And remember, 1 tablespoon is equal to a ½ ounce. So for 2 ounces of rum, we're going to be having to use 4 tablespoons. So that's 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, and that's 4 tablespoons, which is equal to 2 ounces. Next up, we have the lime juice. The lime juice is going to be 1 full ounce, which is going to be 2 tablespoons. That's 1 tablespoon. And then 2 tablespoons with the lime juice. Finally, the last ingredient is going to be the simple syrup. This is going to be a little tricky because it's 3/4 ounce of simple syrup. So you're going to be doing 1 full tablespoon and then half of a tablespoon after that. So there we have the full tablespoon, and then this is going to be half a tablespoon. It's going to be a little tricky to measure, but just do your best. I'm going to go ahead and say that's half a tablespoon. Not the most accurate, but like I said, it gets the job done. Then next up, you're going to be using your ice. And even if you don't have an ice cube tray like this, you can use the standard ice cube tray that most people have available in their freezer. Or, these days, a lot of fridges and freezers make their own ice as well. So you can also go ahead and use that. So you don't necessarily have to have a ice cube tray like the one I have here. I'm going to go ahead and put 3 ice cubes in here. And then finally, for your serving glass, I am using an actual glass, so mainly so you guys can see what the drink is supposed to look like. But if you don't have this, you can also use a coffee cup, you can use a plastic cup or a solo cup, you can use a metal cup, you can use essentially whatever glassware or cups you have available. And I've made these drinks I made these kind of drinks, honestly, not just in other people's houses, I made them in hotel rooms and things like that too. So just use what you have available. That's really the purpose of home bartending and really the point of all this. Okay, so now I have everything sealed up, the ice and the ingredients. Then go ahead and shake it 8 to 12 seconds as you would with a normal shaker too. So now we have everything incorporated in here. Pouring this is going to be a little tricky, so just do the best you can, essentially. And there you have it, a Daiquri, which is a shaken cocktail that I made without using any of the fancy bar tools and equipment that I have here. I didn't use a cocktail shaker, I didn't use a jigger, I didn't even use a strainer. I just used simple household items, like a Tupperware box and a tablespoon, which pretty much everyone has available in their kitchen or pantry. Anyways, cheers. So if you found this video helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel below. I really like to do 2 types of videos on this channel. One will be a tutorial style video where I basically show you guys how to make a specific cocktail. And the second style of video will be where I give more general tips and tricks and share advice and stories from my own home bartending journey that I hope will help you guys become better home bartenders. This video was actually sort of a mix between the two styles because it was both advice and strategies for how to make cocktails without how to make shaking cocktails specifically without any of the fancy bar tools that I have here. But it also served as a mini tutorial for how to make the Daiquri, which is one of the quintessential shaking cocktails. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you. Cheers.